This edition of Thamaturgy Thursday, we're making little mushroom terrariums. So the first thing that you're going to need are your little glass bottles. I got these from the dollar store, strangely enough. They had some packs of them. I might go back and get some more. And I have my UV resin here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of the UV resin in the bottom. And it's getting all drippy down the sides. It's really hard to control UV resin. Make sure that it coats the bottom. I'm just going to put a very tiny amount on the bottom of the glass jar. Make sure that it coats fairly evenly. Next, I'm going to add a very thin layer of dirt or sand. It's kind of fine-grained sandbox type of sand. You could probably get some from the beach or a sandbox if you got one around. And just tap it to coat the bottom. Once the sand is in there, you can start adding a little bit of moss. I'm going to use some pretty fine ground moss powder and green. So it's kind of a mixture. It's got light green and dark green. And this is just going to be the bottom layer. Make sure you tap the bottom and try to coat it as evenly as you can. I don't want to have too many spots where the gravel bottom layer is showing through. I'm just going to add a little bit more. I want to make a nice fluffy kind of ground. And then I'm going to make another one. I've got 4 bottles here to make. So same process. I add a little bit of the UV resin to the bottom. I'm trying really hard not to drip all over the place, but if it drips, just wipe it off with a paper towel, because that happens. This is another good reason to wear protective gloves when you're dealing with UV resin, because it can get really goopy and sticky, and you don't want that all over your hands. Here's number 3, and even though the base layers are going to be very similar, I am going to be using different color moss inside and also different color mushrooms, so each one will still be unique. Now that the bottom layer is complete, I'm going to just pop these into the UV lamp for about 5 minutes. So now I'm just going to take out some different color moss. I've got hot pink, I've got green, I've got light green, looks kind of like a lime color. I've got some yellow in here and some purple, dark and light purple. So I'm just going to take out a few sprigs because it really, a little goes a long way. I don't really need a lot. So I can just pull off what I might need, and I might not even use all of what I am gonna take out today, so we'll see. Here's some clay mushrooms that I made out of Filmo and have pre-baked. Some have funky little tops to the mushrooms, some are kind of dome shape, but now we get to color them. I'm gonna add some color powder to my silicone and mix it up to make kind of a nice shimmery color. You can probably use some acrylic paint if you'd like. I'm just going to try using the mica powder as the coloring mixed with the UV resin to see what happens. And I might have used just a little bit too much. I'm gonna need a smaller spoon. But the colors are mixing very well together. It is such a gorgeous red color. It's very shimmery and vibrant. It almost looks like nail polish. I definitely want to try this on another project. I'm using a toothpick because I can then paint the mushroom with it. You could probably use a paintbrush, but then you would have to throw it away. Most likely. It's really hard to clean resin off of paintbrushes. So I recommend using a toothpick, especially for little tiny projects like this. And we're just going to paint the little top of the mushroom. Next, it's time to put the mushroom in the UV lamp. I'm just going to hold it in there for a few seconds so that the top can dry. Here I have a kind of pointy top mushroom. And now I'm just going to do a few more colors. I've got some bright red here. I just mixed some acrylic paint this time with the resin. And I've got some pink. And I also have done some purple. Here are my finished mushrooms and a few snails. And now it's time to start putting them into their little bottles. I already tried to put one in and the stems are a little bit too long, so I'm just going to clip a few of the stems, make them slightly shorter just because these bottles are a bit smaller. So just get a pair of pliers and clip a bit of it off. So now I'm going to try to fill my glass jars, and I'm not sure what the best method to do this is. Some people use glue. I'm going to try using resin and just putting a little bit on the mushroom and then putting it inside of the glass jar. I want to make sure that if the jar gets tousled, things don't, fall all over the place inside of the jar. I want to keep everything at least in its place as much as possible, but I can only do so much. I'm going to add a few more sprigs of moss, and each one I'm going to probably do it slightly differently just because I want to have that variety. I can already see some of the resin making the glass a bit not as clear as I would like. I can try to use a paper towel to get as much off as I can. And I'm just going to use the toothpick to try to get the mushroom where I want it to be. This one I'm going to try to put more of the resin inside of the jar first and then just put some more of the moss inside. See if this will work out a little bit better. And then I'm going to completely coat the mushroom in the resin before adding it into the jar. It's pretty slippery. And I'm just gonna move it where I want it to be with the toothpick. I'm gonna use the snail, which I had made from leftover mushroom clay, and stick him in the jar as well. I'm just using a toothpick to kind of move things around and get them where I want them to be before I stick them in the UV lamp for about 10 minutes. And the final step is putting the caps back on and then screwing one of these little metal deucers, I don't even know what their name is, into the cork so that you can hang a chain from them and wear it as a necklace, or even put a keychain on there, and that would be cute as well. And here are the finished mushroom terrariums. Each one is slightly different. I think they turned out pretty good. You can let me know what you think about them in the comments below. And if you know a better way of doing this, you could also leave me a comment on that. I think this one is probably my favorite. And if you would like to pick up your own, you can stop by 3 Year Studios inside the historic Savage Mill. Or you can just send me a message. Thanks so much to our wonderful supporters on Patreon. You can support us by going to patreon.com/3gearstudios. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next Thursday.